Welcome to the installation and configuration tutorial for Windows XP Professional. I already have a virtual machine set up here, as the installation media I have has a slipstreamed CD key. Going into and starting up the virtual machine here. Don't need to see that there. Wish I had another monitor. Yeah, it takes a while to load up the setup. So maybe looking at about a little more than an hour. Yeah, just gotta get more people viewing as well. Takes quite a while to load, because it is loading from physical media. I could do a game stream, maybe. I'm not sure yet. Right now I'm just doing tech stuff, but if you guys, if the viewers want, I can do game streams. I don't have that much space for hard drive on my hard drive, because it's, yeah, tiny. But I'd like to see what kind of games I could play on here and doing a stream. Just need to see if I can't get more viewers. There it goes. Well, right now the only games I have on here is this Star Conflict, this Medal of Honor, and this Sunrider Mask of Arcadius. I might do the Medal of Honor sometime as a live stream if I feel like it, because that is a decent game. I do have the system volume muted. Ooh, Videoception. taking forever. Usually does, because Windows XP always took forever. Hmm. Hard drive's going nuts. It was doing something. There it goes. So hit C to create a partition. Let it use the whole space. It will create a, or leave a 8 megabytes run partition space here, which is actually used by the system, but I don't know what it's used for. All I know is that that little 8 megabytes is used by Windows XP for something. But yeah, enter. Let's use a quick format. I have copying files from physical media. I don't know what my system resource looks like. Not too bad at all. Hovering at around 50%. Not using much memory out of my 12 gig. Haven't even touched my swap file. I think I might be able to disable that because I got none of RAM. I'll probably throw in a little bit of Windows Server 2003 into this video too. Although, do need to make a couple of changes to the hardware on it. Like, give it more RAM and another processor. That should be good enough for now. Play that virtual machine. And throw a little bit of Windows Server 2003 in here. Show you guys how to set up a simple Active Directory domain controller using Server 2003. Might want to give it another network adapter. Yeah. You can kind of see, based upon what I'm doing here, the kind of stuff that goes into networking virtual machines. But I'll do that once I get into the system here. Yeah, of course it's got to restart. So this is a two-in-one. This is the setting up Active Directory with Server 2003 and installing Windows XP. This will also include connecting the XP system to the Active Directory domain controller. Within the virtual machine, you don't actually hit Control-Alt-Delete. It's actually Control-Alt-Insert with VMware. It's a good tip for you guys if you didn't know. Okay, this is configured here. Now to add a NATed connection. Connect settings. Add another network adapter. Use that NAT connection. Okay. Now it will connect and configure the second network connection. It is already called NATed. I've already had it on there once. Okay. Now go through here, manage your server. And add remove role. And it's got this little wizard here. And it looks through all this. And you notice that the Windows XP installation says it'll take about 39 more minutes. So it's got a lot of stuff to do here. So this will be a pretty long stream, which will in turn turn into a pretty long video. Alright, and if you notice here with the configure server wizard, it's got this typical configuration for a first server. It's what that is. It just sets up the DHCP, the DNS server, and all that is required, and it will also control to install the Active Directory services. Which, doing it this way is easier. On Windows Server 2000, you had to do all that manually. They didn't have this simple configuration setup stuff. I might show you guys later if I can find a Server 2000 disk somewhere. But for now, I will just give this a domain name of vmnet.vm, since it's within a virtual machine's environment, one virtual machine to another. This can take a while depending on the power that you have in your system. Once this is all said and done with this server configuration here, I will also go in and change the server's actual name. Connect to the internet with bridged. Okay. Next. Alright. It's asking for the Windows Server 2003 disk. I can give it that without a problem. Go settings over here. Tell it to use an ISO file. I believe it's within this Windows 2003 server. Okay. There it is. It's configuring everything it needs. Noticing there's only one person watching, and I know who that person is. Okay. Stupid keyboard. Computer name will be leave a password on there. It would have asked for a license key before it would have popped into the date and time settings. I believe that's when it would have done that. But I'm actually Central Time. Okay. Now it's configuring that. While the server is also installing Active Directory, I still have yet to change the server name from the default. Let's check at my performance. Running 2 virtual machines and the CPU usage is not too high. It hasn't even reached 100%. Using about half my RAM, but I've got more than enough RAM to do this. I could configure that here, but I do not have. The way this is supposed to do this in a real network configuration is that you would have the Active Directory servers between the internet and the rest of the network, and you would automatically have those be the DHCP DNS servers, so you could just be able to connect to the domain that way without having to do manual setups. The way you do it in a virtual machine is you install the client machine and then you go through a bunch of manual configuration setups, and it's a little more complicated. But in a real network, real physical network, it's actually quite a bit easier to configure a client system, because you can actually just connect it to the domain through here. But right now this will just be work grouped until it can get connected to the domain. You notice it's installing DNS over here. That's part of the reason why. Because the Active Directory DNS service has to be configured as the primary DNS in the client system to be able to practically connect to the Active Directory domain. So in the virtual machine environment, you have to go in and manually tell the computer what the IP address for the server, be it virtual or physical. Well, if it's a physical server and you're installing XP or whatnot as a client system in a virtual machine, you can just set it to bridged and you can easily configure it that way. So if it's a virtual server with either a physical or virtual client, then you still have to go through the manual configuration because the virtual server is not sitting between the internet connection and the rest of the system's network. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions if you're watching. If there's something you don't understand, you can ask it and I will try to explain it. Once you configure the Active Directory server, it does take long for it to start up. Alright. Control-Alt insert. Type my password. Now you notice that it's configured a bunch of quite a few roles here. File server, that's a standard remote access VPN server. That's also gives it NAT domain controller, which is Active Directory, DNS server, which is the domain name system, which is it'll turn a actual name like Google to the IP address, and the DHCP server, which is essentially allows the server to function as a router if necessary. Now to go in and change the computer name, you right click on computer here, you go properties and computer name. I go change here, I can't change that. I can change the name here. I just call it VM serve, click OK. You will have to reboot again. Alright, to restart. And once this server is configured, after the reboot here, I believe I have to set a static IP address within the NATed connection. Yeah, that's what I'm about to do. I'm going to just set that static IP. This is NATed, I believe. No, it's bridge. That needs to be NATed. Okay. Yeah, I know. Jesus. Where did this put it? ENSQL Server 2008 standard SDC. Yeah, I don't see where it would have. Oh, there it is. Duh. It's right there. So once that's installed, I will install the SQL server. Give you a little rundown of what SQL server is. And I do also have to. I do not know what the XP machine just did. Alright. Network connections. I want to change this one. Okay, it is already configured as that, it looks like. Control panel here. Network connections. We changed that here. TCP/IP. And it will actually automatically, so I can get some information here. That command within the terminal or command prompt will give me the information I need. Okay, properties in here. And it will have the following. It'll have an IP address of 192.168.239.2. Stupid numpad. And I will give it .200. Subnet mask, and it will not have a default gateway as it is just going to be what it needs to be. Alright, run ipconfig again here. Thank you for the information. Okay, that is good. How is my audio quality coming through? I do need to change the ISO of this. To install the SQL server. Okay. There are a few prerequisites that the system needs to install the SQL server. It will install those as part of the installation. Okay. Might as well send him that. Yeah, those download time estimates are not. Yeah. Okay, install. And it states that you can now disconnect from the internet if you're using a dial-up connection. Back in 2003, dial-up connections were still pretty heavily used. But now they're pretty much non-existent. Might as well see about playing some music here. Get a little something playing in the background. No sounds for a moment. That way the system sounds don't get annoying. Yes, I got a lot of songs on here and it's not responding. Stupid thing. There it goes. The music doesn't overpower my voice. If you can still hear me, let me know.
When the world burned, I faced the task of rebuilding what I had made. I'd raise the sun again. I'd bring them through the end. And day by day they passed away right before my eyes. 6 became a team of 5. Couldn't help but pass them by. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, honor and glory, and iron to rise. Hate to bloodshed, from rise to fall. If I never have to die, am I alive at all? was the victor at a cost. With every war, a friend was lost.
How about now?
On deaf ears fell my cries of hurt as the last one drove insane. He turned and went astray. I would to fade away, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, honor to glory, and iron to rust, hate to bloodshed, from rise to fall.
Add-on. Looks like I'll have to mute the sound then. Okay, let's see. Install the VMware tools. Okay, that's done there. Don't need that tour crap. Okay. It'll be a new standalone installation. Do a complete install and install. Okay.
What? Yep. Yeah. Phones that like phones.
It shouldn't have been overpowering like that. Accept that license. And install. it's gonna take a while to install on both these machines because it's gotta multitask big time.
What? What?
Yeah. It's a virtual machine, doesn't matter. It's going to install every single feature of SQL. Select all. Next. Alright, restart that virtual machine. Write this down. The instance ID. MSSQL server. Okay. Oh, what's it saying here? I'm going to create a new account just for the SQL server. Users here. Create a new user. Okay, password. Password never expires. Oh yes, yeah. Choose that. Okay. Right. We have network service. Next. Okay, that should work now. Yep, there it goes. Windows authentication mode, of course. Wait, what? Alright, next to that, native mode, right. Install. Now to connect this to Active Directory domain. Yeah, ignore that. Properties here. Change this here, but use the DNS server of. But I'll set an alternate to. Okay. Okay. Now I should be able to go properties here. Computer name change and okay. And by doing this, the virtual machine will become part of the domain. That is created by this virtual machine over here. What? This not happened before. There it is. Of course. Restart now. Now, as you notice, before this XP virtual machine just booted right in because it was created without a username and password. But now that it is part of the Active Directory domain, and he's Control-Alt-Delete. Options here, it will actually connect to VMNet. Connect as administrator for now. But I could go over here, create another new user. VM user. Password never expires. Should not, in an actual production environment, you should never check that box. Because in an actual production environment where you're with a actual business, you're going to want to change your password every 6 months or so. But that's essentially configuring XP for use in a Active Directory environment. But now that I created a new user on the server to connect as that user. No, not VM client, VM user. And it's in. Because the server, under Active Directory, actually controls the user login and everything. Everything is centralized on the server. Essentially, that turns the server into a potential weak point in a network. So if in reality, if you're going to use this, you have to have all kinds of other security systems on your network, firewalls, network appliances that scan all traffic for potential viruses before it even gets into your network, multi-layer firewalls, all that good stuff. You just need to make sure that your network is secure. That's essentially installation and configuration of Windows XP for a network environment. Thank you very much for watching, and please leave a comment if you have one, and I will also take suggestions for any future videos.